What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode here of BlockHash at Money 2020. Today we have another fantastic episode to kick off day 2 with Coinbase. Scott Meadows here with business development to talk about stablecoins, crypto infrastructure, base and payments, where Coinbase is at here at Money 2020 and heading into 2026. Scott, welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you here. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, Brandon. It's great to be here.
Likewise. To get things underway, would love to learn a little bit more about yourself. If you don't mind sharing a bit about your background and maybe what kind of enticed you to be a part of this space, and then at the same time, what also led to your involvement at Coinbase.
Sure. So I've been at Coinbase now for about 4.5 years. And I got my start in crypto, leading back to sort of the 2020 bull run that we had. I was working in traditional finance. My entire background was in the banking sector. And as part of that, I had the opportunity to start to work on a handful of different advisory opportunities in the growing crypto space around the time that Coinbase was going public via its direct listing. There were a handful of other platforms out there that were trying to take advantage of that moment that we were in. And that was my introduction into the crypto space. And I spent a couple of months sort of deep diving, understanding more deeply what the potential long-term impacts would be on the industry, on the global financial system. And I had one of those like quintessential light bulb moments. That once I had been sort of crossed over the Rubicon, so to speak, and had been woken up to the power of this technology in this space and the change that it was going to bring over the coming years, that just inspired me to kind of jump in full time with both feet and found my way to Coinbase. I spent the first 3 years here working in our corporate development ventures team, working on M&A, investment opportunities, and a handful of strategy initiatives. And for the last 1.5 years or so, I've been focused on the partnership side.
Excellent. Speaking of partnerships, being here at Money 2020, have you guys been looking for anything in particular while you're here, exploring more partnerships, looking for more industry individuals or companies to work with, or what's kind of been the goal while you've been here?
Yeah, so this is not our first year at Money 2020, but we really recognized that the environment that we're in now and the fact that, with a growing sort of background of global regulatory clarity, increasing institutional and enterprise adoption, it really was important for us to establish a very visible presence here at this conference and recognize that there's a tremendous amount of interest and enthusiasm in the space more broadly, as we have continued to sort of see the acceptance of the asset class and the infrastructure in the industry become more prevalent. And from our perspective, Coinbase has sort of been privileged by the virtue of both our platform, our reputation, and our brand to have established ourselves as a core partner of choice for most, if not all, of the sort of key institutions that are coming into the space. So here at the conference, we've had the opportunity to interact with a whole host of existing and prospective partners, and the energy has just been incredible. I think that, you've really seen a turning of the tide over the last, probably sort of 12 to 24 months, where we really felt like we have kicked into a new wave of adoption and enthusiasm, and we're sort of proud to be here representing as a key partner in the space for folks to be able to work with. So it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, I can say the same. It's been amazing seeing a lot of the TradFi companies interacting in these intersections with a lot of the Web3 crowd here, and a lot more of that stuff being spoken outwardly in some of the talks, in the panel discussions, and then obviously with the companies on the show floor. It's been great getting to see that kind of interaction. So we're definitely making a lot more progress in this space than we were before. So it's fantastic to see this year.
Yeah, and we've made a couple of announcements kind of in the lead up to this conference in particular. We have the recent launch of our retail credit card offering. We're here in partnership with our partners at Amex and Cardless, and are in the process of sort of rolling that out more broadly. Recently opened that product up for general acceptance, and the reception's been incredible so far. And we had an announcement yesterday that went live on our expanded partnership with Citibank, and exploring a whole host of new use cases that will help support their institutional and enterprise clients around both on and off ramps and fiat connectivity, as well as stablecoin payments and orchestration. So key themes that we see sort of across the board within the conference, and we feel like we're hitting that moment.
Nice. With the card, is that like a credit card, charge card, debit card type of ordeal, or what does it kind of look like a little bit? Because I saw that too.
Yeah, so this is our first credit card offering. We've had a debit card offering in our platform now for retail customers for a while, but this is our first extension into the credit card space. And so, with our partners, we've launched this new card, which we see as being an incredibly attractive value proposition to add to sort of the growing suite of products and services that we offer to our retail customers. We just started rolling it out. The response has been incredible, and it's going to start off with a very compelling value proposition around the opportunity to earn incredible rewards in Bitcoin. And then we anticipate over time being able to expand out that product offering and see it as a core component of the overall platform that just helps deliver a better overall experience to our customers and helps make those relationships more sticky.
Nice. Rewards in Bitcoin sounds nice. That's something I got to add to my wallet too.
100%.
Another thing I want to talk about, you mentioned just a second ago, was stablecoins. They've been blowing up in 2025, so much adoption across the space and different use cases. We have banks like Bank of America and JP Morgan, payment processors and providers like PayPal. It's been so much movement. I'm curious what Coinbase's role, or what Coinbase looks to have as a role when it comes to building out more stablecoin infrastructure going into 2026, and then maybe there's some of the things you guys are working on now.
So it's a great question, and it's an area that we've been spending a tremendous amount of time on. So the history of Coinbase with stablecoin specifically goes back to the early days of before stablecoins had become sort of what they are today, where we were co-founders of USDC along with our partners at Circle. And that relationship has grown, and that product has been tremendously successful, as we've seen in the marketplace. And we have since then expanded our role as a distribution platform for stablecoin issuers more broadly, anchored by our relationship with Circle, but also have relationships with PayPal, with an issuer, StraightSex in Singapore, AUDC in Australia, and a growing list of others that we work with to help provide distribution for their stablecoin through our retail and institutional capabilities, specifically around liquidity and exchange and utility and so forth. And that's where we started. But what we've seen more recently over the past couple of years has been a recognition that in building out those first-party capabilities to support our retail and institutional businesses, we had developed a whole suite of infrastructure primitives that we have now taken and established as a product group under our developer portal that we are now extending as a infrastructure platform for other enterprises to be able to, ranging from small startup developers and crypto native, sort of new companies, as all the way up through upmarket enterprise, banks, global fintechs, asset managers, payments platforms, et cetera. And they are now leveraging our infrastructure that we've built to be able to extend crypto and stablecoin payments capabilities to their end users and build that into their overall infrastructure stack. So it's something that we've been spending a lot of time and energy investing in on the product side, and are in the process of rolling that out more broadly.
Yeah, I've heard about the developer portal, and it's awesome what you guys are working on there. Have you seen any use cases in particular start to crop up in terms of like for consumers and maybe what they can kind of expect, or maybe companies working on certain types of products or services that maybe kind of encapsulate that?
Yeah, so it really ranges across a variety of different things. I think, we still have a very strong presence in the developer community. And as you think about the overall sort of suite of products that we offer, wallets, payments orchestration, developer toolkits to help, protocols and developers launch new apps on Base, to a whole host of other aspects that help make connectivity to our existing distribution. And then more recently, we've been able to sort of make a push to expand a lot of those capabilities to more upmarket enterprise level clients. So you're seeing multinational corporations that are leveraging our capabilities to facilitate cross-border payments, to enable, global remittances on their platforms. And then, even more recently, earlier this summer, we announced a partnership with Shopify where they're leveraging our merchant acceptance protocol that we developed in-house to help enable stablecoin payments for all of the merchants that they have on their platform. So it runs the gamut, but it's an incredibly exciting time because you're seeing a whole host of new use cases crop up across the board.
Awesome. Another thing I want to touch on is the Base network. I'm curious how maybe that will play in when it comes to the infrastructure as well and laying a foundation for stablecoins and for payments. And I know that some of those basic benefits include being super fast and low fees with USD. But how do you imagine that being something that's quite substantial for both consumers and businesses, and how do you want to work in Base?
Yeah, so we have a whole thriving ecosystem around Base. And Base has established itself in a very short period of time to become far and away the leading EVM L2. And that's an incredible amount of work has gone into building that community of users and developers and sort of aggregating that flywheel that has pulled liquidity and activity onto the platform and onto the protocol in ways that we're incredibly excited about. As we move forward and we think about new use cases that are emerging, particularly as you mentioned around stablecoins and payments, we've been engaged in a concerted effort to try to bring more stablecoins, more liquidity onto Base through a whole host of different initiatives globally, as we recognize that as more of the financial infrastructure moves on chain and more of the underlying user base globally becomes more crypto native, using Base as the source of liquidity and the source for which the platform on which all of these new developers can build these capabilities is fundamental to our overall strategy. And so as we think about the process going forward and where we are focused on in terms of growth with respect to Base, we are keenly focused on ensuring that we are providing the best developer experience, the most tools to help facilitate new innovations and new use cases and apps to be built on the Base ecosystem, as well as ensuring that it's acting as the global hub of liquidity for all of the different assets that folks need to have access to. And that will help proliferate all of these new capabilities more globally as we increase our presence in a variety of geographies, which is where we've been focused on today.
Yeah, when you speak of a variety of geographies, what do you think that does in terms of empowering the future of e-commerce, which is something that I'm looking very forward to with agentic coming and now stablecoins, and the internet is changing very rapidly in how we interact and buy things online and shop, and businesses pay other businesses and consumers interact with businesses. How do you see that maybe shaping up with some of the things that you guys are doing with stablecoins, with Base? I imagine that that's going to be a really big part.
It's huge, and that's been an incredibly sort of powerful theme that we've seen over the last, call it year or so, but increasingly just especially here at Money 2020, is the importance of agentic commerce and the rise of that as being a core fundamental component of the infrastructure as we think about payments and financial infrastructure going forward. So as you think about our overall product suite, we see ourselves as having the full stack, ranging from the underlying protocol with Base to the wallet infrastructure that we have that helps enable both, individuals, platforms, as well as agents have access to a wallet that they can transact from. And we've also spent a tremendous amount of time investing in what we call our X402 protocol, which is an open source platform that helps enable agents to be able to execute payments through the native underlying HTTP infrastructure in a way that will help facilitate that autonomous agentic type of e-commerce flow that, as you engage with folks sort of across the board in the industry and here at the conference, there's been a tremendous amount of energy and recognition that this is the world that we're going toward. And Coinbase is spending a lot of time to invest in a lot of that infrastructure such that it allows the developers of both the agents, the e-commerce platforms, and the distribution and payments infrastructure to be able to incorporate those capabilities into their overall offering.
And then in terms of the crypto adoption growth for other industries, institutional players, where are you seeing the most growth happen in certain verticals or certain industries? Like, are these treasuries and asset managers and banks primarily? Are you seeing it in other areas that people maybe aren't thinking about as much, or at least the interest for it? Because I'm just kind of curious where maybe which industries or verticals will probably take off doing this first, or maybe could see the most benefit, whether it's healthcare or supply chain or government or any of these other in between. Just curious what you guys are seeing.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's hard to really narrow it down just because the spectrum of new use cases that have been cropping up has been incredibly exhilarating, and we're doing a lot to ensure that we're serving all of those in different ways. But two that I would highlight in particular are the expansion of crypto as a fundamental asset class for retail and investing brokerage. Mm-hmm. And so through our platform, our infrastructure platform as part of Developer, we have a suite of tools that we refer to as crypto as a service. We have over 240 institutional clients today that are leveraging those capabilities to be able to offer crypto buy, sell, hold, send, receive capabilities to their end users. And we're seeing a tremendous amount of increase in demand as the crypto asset class starts to merge with the broader suite of assets and instruments that people want to be able to invest in and trade. And so as part of that, we are launching more asset classes on Coinbase. We've previously announced that we have an initiative to sort of provide the everything exchange, where we're going to be enabling our users to be able to participate not just in crypto, but in tokenized equities and prediction markets, and really expanding the portfolio of things that people want to get access to. And so as you see other TradFi brokers that don't have crypto today as part of their platform, they're recognizing the convergence of all of these asset classes and wanting to have the ability to offer them in one place. Mm-hmm. And we're helping serve them by offering the infrastructure necessary for them to be able to expose that to their clients. So I would say that's one big theme.
Okay.
The second big theme is certainly around stablecoin payments. And you're seeing that globally with respect to cross-border, with respect to remittance platforms and multinationals that want to be able to incorporate stablecoin efficiencies to be able to settle funds instantaneously at a much more efficient cost than traditional payment rails, in a way that really unlocks a whole host of new different functionality, but operational efficiencies that's been incredibly attractive to that sort of enterprise client that we've been spending a lot more time with.
Cool. So, and then looking at 2026 on your guys' roadmap, is this something that you guys are really focused on expanding out access to a lot of these different sources and products and assets, or are there other things that you guys are working on in particular that you're able to share?
Yeah, so we've got a lot in the hopper. We're on track to make a handful of announcements in reference to some of the things I talked about before by the end of the year. So in 2026, we're going to be incredibly focused on ensuring that those new products and capabilities that get rolled out are delivered in a way that is tremendously successful and valuable to our customers. As we think further ahead and growing not just on our, as you think about all the different product surfaces that we offer beyond our sort of core retail and institutional businesses, expanding the capabilities on the developer side, and then really leaning into everything that we're doing with respect to Base and building that community globally. We've got a tremendous amount of investment going into courting additional developers and users in a variety of different markets globally, within LATAM and Asia and Africa and the Middle East and so forth. And so really leaning into building that global community around that common infrastructure is where we're going to be spending a lot of our time in 2026. And, I think that we're very well positioned to be able to help meet the moment. Mm-hmm. But we also recognize that with increasing sort of regulatory clarity and acceptance, it's bringing in a whole host of new market participants. And at the end of the day, I think that from our standpoint, this just makes the space overall better and more healthy, and competition sort of keeps us all at the top of our game. And at the end of all of that is a better experience and more financial freedom for the entire world, which ultimately ties back to our mission.
Where's the best to kind of understand what's happening in 2026 for someone that's hearing this and watching this episode and probably wants to keep up with all the changes?
Yeah, so number one, follow us on all the socials. We've got a very active social team that keeps everybody apprised on X and a variety of other platforms. So that's probably number one. Our blog is a great source of information. As someone that spends a tremendous amount of time, working on new partnership opportunities, but also in partnership with our product teams to sort of coordinate new launches. We put a lot of time and effort to ensure that our blog is serving as the hub of new information on what's sort of happening with Coinbase and all the new things that we're coming to market. So it's active. We have new things rolling out every day, and that's I would say that the golden source of truth, as it were. And to anyone out there that's listening that wants to get in touch, we're open for business, and I think that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in front of us, and we're excited about what we have to offer in our platform and how that can help grow the industry as a whole and deliver value to our individual users as well as our institutional and enterprise customers.
Awesome. Well, Scott, I appreciate this conversation. It's been really great learning about what Coinbase is doing for both the consumer and institutional customers, everything from stablecoins and payments to what you guys are doing with Base and the Base network. So it's fantastic to see this level of growth, and excited to see what you guys do in 2026. Keep up all the great work, and let's do this again soon.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
Appreciate it.